Okay, it's recording now. Okay. Hi, my name is Dailyn Hopkins. I am in 10th grade. I attend the Monterey High School, and I'm a member of the Jack and Jill Pittsburgh Team Chapter, and I hold the office of historian.
Hi, I'm Alanna Seals. I'm a senior and I go to the Ellis School, and I'm also a member of Jack and Jill.
Welcome, Miss Renner Watson. Sorry, Miss Renner.
That's okay.
Thank you for joining us for this interview this evening. We would like for you to start us off by telling us a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, first of all, let me say thank you, Jack and Jill. Thank you, Dailyn and Alanna. And I bet you all know that I am a former Jack and Jill mom. And Jack and Jill was an awesome experience for myself and my daughter, for me and my daughter. So I am a lifelong Pittsburgher. I was born in Homewood. I was raised in the Hill, and that's for many generations. I was raised in the Hill District, graduated Shenley, as did my all my siblings, my daughter, and nieces and nephews. I also attended Ellis in my 10th grade. I attended Ellis. My mom passed away that year, so my dad thought, oh, my kids are sad enough, so I'm going to let them go back to public school. But Ellis was a really awesome experience, even for that 1 year. It really made a difference in my life. And then I also have lived in Manchester for 12 years as an adult. I was a single mom back while I was in Jack and Jill. Then we bought a home, my daughter and I bought a home over in the Hill District, and we still own that home. Right now, I live with my dad 3 years ago. My mom, his wife of 45 years, passed away. And so I came to stay with him. And that's also in the Hill, but it's in the Shenley Heights part of the Hill District. And I also, so I told you I went to Shenley High School. I told you I attended a year at Ellis. I attended Howard University, as did my mother, my older brother, my older sister. While I was there, my brother, who was graduating from CMU, I encouraged him to come down and attend the law school there. So just about all my family has attended Howard University. I am a Alpha Chapter Delta Sigma Theta from Howard University, as was my mom. My sister pledged, but she pledged here later. And my dad is what we call a double Duker. He went to Duquesne University, both undergrad and graduate school and law school. And my law school experience is at Duquesne University. And so that's kind of, and currently I serve as a mental health hearing officer. I've been doing that for 26 years. And I'm also a practicing attorney. And so that's kind of my background. Do you want me to go on to the next question, or you want me to tell you some more things? I can go on and on, believe me. So,
No, I got it. So
hey, never give a lawyer a mic.
in this time, such as suffering and justice, what is your superpower that differentiates you from the other candidates running for office?
Okay, well, for one thing, I have, besides being a 29-year practicing attorney, where I represented thousands of children and families and single moms and members of the community, business owners in every division of the court. But in addition to representing people in the court, I also have adjudicated over 50,000 cases. I have been a judge of the minor judiciary. I have sat as judge of the Pittsburgh Magistrates Court, where I heard over 22,000 cases, and I heard criminal, child sex assault, domestic violence, underage drinking, housing court, dog court, traffic court. I issued warrants, I heard arraignments, and I set bail. And so my experience in and of itself differentiates me from most of the other candidates. I am also fair, and I listen to both sides of the case before I make a decision, and I treat people fairly. And so those things are like new hot topics for everybody. You know, I'm fair, I'm going to be, you know, I will issue justice. and they may well do that, and they may well be that, exhibit that. But for me, I've been exhibiting that and doing that for 26 years from the bench. So I'm tried and true. So that's what I consider to be the superpower that differentiates me from other candidates.
Okay, my question is there any specific reason why you are choosing now to run?
Well, I was asked, I've been asked to run for years, to be perfectly honest. And there was a time frame. I did run before. There was a time when I was asked to back out and wait my turn. I did that. There was times when I was asked to step out and let other candidates that were running, have a clear shot. I did that. And then for a while, I just didn't run. And here we have a very unique situation right now. And it really just opened up to what it is really at the end of December, early January. And that is that we have 9 vacancies on the Court of Common Pleas. I believe that is 25% of the number of judges that we have. So we are making, I don't care who we elect, it's a sweeping change. It's going to be different no matter who we elect. But it's important for us to elect people that will be a change, that will make a difference. And so I had people call me and ask me, Wrenna, are you running? It's always a consideration, but I hadn't really thought about it or made a decision. But then someone called me when the 9 seats opened up and said, Wrenna, we need you to run. Our community needs you to run. And I want to get behind you and support you. So I just saw the support coming. It's, as I said, it's kind of like a perfect storm. You have 9 seats that are open. That's a unique moment in history for Allegheny County. We have 3 Black judges right now. There was a time when there were 8, which was also an unusual time. And so we have 3, and from what I'm told, 2 of them are probably going to retire very soon. Also, historically, in Allegheny County, we only ever elect 1 Black judge at a time. I don't care how many seats there are. There have been 6 seats and 7 seats on multiple occasions, but we only ever elect 1 Black judge. So hopefully this will be an election that, that we come out and show something different, and that we do something different. Diversity across the board is needed on the bench. Not only do we need African Americans, but we also need women. And fortunately, I fit both of those bills. And I'm fair. So yes, that's kind of like exactly what happened for me to run this time.
Did the election of Kamala Harris give you the incentive to run, or was it something else?
Now, I love Kamala Harris. We're members of the Divine Alpha Chapter Divine 9. She is an AKA from Alpha Chapter at Howard. I'm a Delta Sigma Theta. My sorority fully supported her election. And I mean, you really take it back to Obama, and that's historical. That's a first. Kamala's a first. And so that's inspiring, but neither of those would make my decision that I should run. But they certainly do lend to that perfect storm situation where, you have 9 seats, you have an African-American woman go into the White House, you have the tension all over the country says we need diversity in all aspects of law enforcement and in our justice system. So it's kind of like that perfect storm that says, okay, it's time.
How do you see yourself paying this role forward and encouraging or mentoring young women or men to run for elected office?
Well, it's always been my stance that honestly, an African American should run for every available office every election. And we don't do that in our communities. I encourage persons to run all the time. I will give all the information I have about running, and believe me, I have quite a bit, because my brother ran. I helped him for years. I've run for city council previously. I've run for judge previously, so I have a fairly decent level of understanding and knowledge about how to run and what it takes and what you have to do. And even today, with other candidates that are running for judge, I've told them, hey, if you need some help and you got a question, you can call me, because I believe that we're here to share our information. And so I do that now, but I do that with young people. And in terms of mentoring, when I was on the bench as a magistrate, I had young people come and sit the bench with me. They could come spend, if they didn't have a day in school and we had court, they could come and sit behind the bench with me so that they can really observe from that perspective. Because it's different to sit in the courtroom and be on the, down in the floor than to be behind the bench and see that view. So I always make my my position open to do that type of mentoring, and I will do that again. I think it's important for us to expose our children to all the various possibilities of careers and employment and what they might want to do. And so yes, I would certainly do that. Even before I sat any bench, I used to bring children down from school, like grade school kids usually, or middle school kids, maybe even high school, but a classroom. We'd somehow pick a classroom and I'd say, hey, let's do what I called it a day in court. I just made it up. And we'd bring them down, take them in to watch a trial or two in the courthouse, try to find something that's interesting. And then we have some kind of lunch somewhere, and then we have do a mock trial and let them participate as, the defense counsel, prosecuting counsel, or prosecuting attorney. Someone sits for the judge. We have folks sit in for a jury, and there's a defendant and a victim, and and they get to do a mock trial and have fun doing that. And then take them over to the jail and let them get a tour and kind of do a little scared straight type situation where one of the inmates would talk to these kids, and tell them, hey, you don't want to come to jail, and why. And I hope that's not showing up on your screen. So yes, those are the things that I've done and will do and continue to do, and I'm sure I'll devise something even more interesting.
What do you most wish to accomplish if you are elected? Do you have any specific agenda that you want to move forward?
Well, for me, the hot topics, so to speak, are justice, making improvements to the court system and law enforcement and whatnot. And there are certain things that judges can do, and there's certain things that judges just not within the realm of their authority. And so some of the reforms that others speak about, judges don't make those reforms. They are not that I might not be in favor of it, but they are not the things that judges do. They are things that the state legislators do, because the state legislators make the laws. They make most of the rules and all of the laws. And so some of those things are just not within the realm of a judge. What is within the realm of a judge is to be fair. And that is something that I've done for 26 years. Not only do I bring diversity, I bring a wealth of experience, both in terms of adjudicating cases, because I could take the bench tomorrow. It's not new for me. I know how to hold court. I know how to preside over cases and have court. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you an example. I had a case in front of me because fairness is so important and equal justice is so important. And you don't know how someone decides until they start to decide. And so with me, because I've been deciding cases for 26 years, you already have an idea, well, you don't have an idea, but you know that I'm fair. You know that I listen to cases, listen to each side, and you know that I treat people with respect. And so I had a case in front of me, and it was a guy who had a great big gigantic bag of marijuana. And this is a ways back before there was medical marijuana and things like that. In fact, one of the newer laws was to have what they call under 30 grams of marijuana. And you can handle that differently than you do other cases. And so, but this was this was not an under 30 gram case. This was a case where a guy came in, he was a Caucasian man in his 40s, kind of looked like a hippie, like he was stuck in the 60s. He had a great big gigantic bag of marijuana. And I mean, way bigger than a gallon size. We all know what a gallon size baggie of marijuana, of a gallon size baggie looks like, not filled with marijuana. We don't know what that looks like, but we know what a gallon size bag looks like. This is probably 3-4 times bigger than that. And the charges were possession and possession with the intent to deliver. Those are the standard charges. Possession with the intent to deliver because of the amount, the weight. And when I called the case, the assistant district attorney and the defense attorney come along with the defendant and the police officer, and the two lawyers tell me that they worked out a deal. And I said, okay, what's the deal? They said, well, assistant district attorney said, well, I'm going to withdraw the possession with the intent to deliver. Now that's the charge that has the heaviest penalty. And we're going to allow them to proceed on the possession only. Honestly, that's a great deal. And I signed off on it, and that case was done. Now, a couple months down the road, the exact same factual case came in front of me, and it was, a great big gigantic bag of loosely packed marijuana. Only this time, and the same charges, possession and possession with the intent to deliver. Those are the standard charges for that. Here, this time it was a young Black kid in his 20s. And so I called the case like I did the other one. And because of what happened in the other one, I'm sitting waiting to hear a deal. Well, nobody said anything about a deal. Now normally if there's no deal, then you just, open it up for trial and allow the district attorney to start presenting his case, which usually is testimony of the police officer. Well, rather than hear a trial, because I knew what happened in the other case, I looked at the district attorney and I said, hey, Mr. District Attorney, I don't know if you're going to like what I'm getting ready to do, but this same factual situation was in front of me 2 months ago, and your office offered a deal, and this is what the deal was. And so based on the deal that you made before, and this is the same facts, that's the deal that I'm going to give today. So I threw out the possession with the intent to deliver, and I allowed them to proceed on the possession. And because that's what's fair. And it could have been a Black kid. It could have been a LGBTQIA community person. It could be an Asian, a Muslim, a different Caucasian. It doesn't matter. Fair is fair is fair. If you're going to be fair, you have to be fair to all across the board. And so those are the types of things that I bring to the bench. And that's what I want to accomplish when I'm elected, that I will continue to exercise fairness, but on that level and on a greater scale. I could tell you another story, but I don't want to take up too much of your time answering one question.
What type of court would you like to preside over? Family court, criminal, civil, and why? And why do you prefer that one?
Well, my preference would be juvenile court, because I used to have 4 to 8 cases a day in juvenile court. I'd be there sometimes till 7:30 at night. I'd be there till 10:30 at night. But I love representing children. And one of the things that I meant to say in the last question was the fact that not only do I have good legal experience and judicial experience, but also I have life experience. I've been a mom. I've been a single mom. I know what the ups and downs are of parenting. I know what children go through. My daughter's very successful. I'm, very happy. And you don't know as a parent how your kids are going to turn out. but you worry about your children, and you give them the best that you can, and you hope that they turn out successful and do well. And I think that having life experience helps you to understand how to exercise good judicial decisions for in any court that you're in. So, but in juvenile court, my favorite judge was Judge Alanna, and she exercised her decisions. She issued her decisions, and you could tell that she was a parent. You could tell she understood our communities, and that's across the board communities. She knew what it was like to raise children. She knew what it was like to have children. She knew what it was like to be a child. And that's not to say that, hey, you let everyone off, because that's not the case either. And some children need a little direction. Some of them need a little bit of court jurisdiction hanging over their head to help them get on the right track. Because the goal is for children to, if they get in juvenile court, get that behind them, get back on a good track, go to college if that's for you, certainly finish high school, maybe go to a trade school, whatever is your role, your path, and become a productive citizen, and be able to make enough money to not only take care of yourself, but to take care of a family. And so I think I would best be suited in juvenile court. The other place I would be probably well suited is criminal division, based on my time as a magistrate and the cases that I've been a lawyer over. I would be suitable to be there. I also worked in orphans court for many years. I know orphans court pretty much like the back of my hand, but that's not a division that they seat you in, because the Supreme Court puts you where they want to put you, and they can move you around from one division to another. So you can put me in any division, to be perfectly honest, but those would be my preferences. And I know it would never be orphans court. They do not put new judges there. That's kind of like the plum of the court, where after you, I don't know why they decide to put you there after years, but it's a little easier. It's a little bit easier than some of the other courts.
What ways do you think the system has failed people of color, and how are Black women poised to make a difference?
Well, I'll be honest. All of our systems need some reform, and we have to make some changes. We haven't had diversity on the bench, and people do talk about implicit bias and systemic racism, and it's evident. It's evident when you look at the numbers. I can't sit and say, oh yeah, that person's systemically racist or that person is implicitly biased. But when you look at the fact that we have 60 to 70% of the persons that are coming through as defendants in the criminal system and in the juvenile court system are African American, there's something that says, why is that? It makes you wonder. And that starts with, that starts in law enforcement, because law enforcement is where that whole process begins, with an arrest. And I know for a fact from friends, police officer friends, state trooper friends, that people get picked up, kids, adults, they get picked up, and oftentimes it's like, oh, they're drunk. Well, I'm not going to drag them down to jail. I'll drive them home, and they can come pick their car up later, or I'll call their parents and let them go home. When it's a Caucasian, but then the Blacks don't get treated the same. And so that it's really, we have to start doing some reform across the board in all of our systems to bring about the changes that need to be made. But clearly, it needs to be made also in our courts. And the first way to do that is to elect more judges that are diverse, that are women and African Americans. Also to hire more persons into the court system. For all of these numbers, for these high percentages of African Americans that are coming through the system, they don't often get to see too many people that work there and judges on the bench that look like them, that look like us. And, it shouldn't be that way. So yes, we have to make those changes. And as a woman on the bench, women or men, we all better get on that bench. And honestly, both persons of color, but also persons that are not minority persons, we all have to start making these changes, because the bottom line is that we're all in this together. We're all either going to, we're going to rise and thrive together, or we're all going to fail together. And so, these changes have to be made by everyone. And everyone that at least is running right now is talking about a desire to make these changes and knowing that there's a need to make these changes.
What was the exact moment that made you want to run for judge?
Oh, okay. So I'm going to tell you about not the exact moment that made me want to run for judge now, but I'm going to go back to what made me want to be a judge, because I did not want to be a judge. I did not grow up wanting to be a judge. My dad is the Honorable J. Warren Watson. He's 98 years old. He sat the bench. He was elected in 1965. He sat the bench for nearly 40 years, and he retired at the age of 80. And he's still alive and he's doing well, and that's who I live with. And he's a musician. He plays music, so he's doing very, very well, especially for 98 years old. And he's a blessing. When Martin Luther King passed away, and my dad was a judge. Was he a judge then? No, he was not a judge then. But yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was a judge. And my brother and I were children, and my brother's also a lawyer. My brother and I were children. Excuse me. And my sister was down at, my sister was at Howard. My older brother and sister were at Howard University. My dad put my younger brother and I in the car and drove us down, and we were living in the Hill. He drove us down through the Hill District, and we had the opportunity to see all of what the riots had done. The businesses were all burned down. It had been a thriving community with businesses and everything down there. All the businesses were burnt down. It was just, riot ravaged. It was a devastating sight. Of course, Martin Luther King's death was a devastating incident on our life. And I don't know that we've had a leader, a true leader like Martin Luther King since then. Obama, but that's a little different. And when he looked at my brother and I, and he said, "Wrenna, Rob, you're intelligent. It's going to be your job to look out for your community, to uplift your community, to take care of people. It's your responsibility." And I think in that moment, I was born to be a public servant, and actually born to be a social worker. And my dad has always called me a social worker attorney. And so, I grew up, I went to Howard. When I went to Howard, my thought was, wow, what can I do to uplift my community? What's my role? And so I went there with the thought that I'm going to go to Howard, because Howard is, not only is it a Black school, but it's also in the Black community. And I felt that I could learn what my role was there. And Howard was, a thriving Black community, the Black diaspora. It's called the Mecca. And there are African Americans and Blacks from all over the world there, from every third world country. We had 700 Nigerians at Howard in a 10,000 population. And that didn't include the other African nations and the Jamaicans and the all of the other third world countries. It was a wonderful place. And the heads of states would come and speak. All of the Black leaders came and spoke. So it was really a wonderful, wonderful place to learn, what it's like to be a Black person and what it's like to be a Black person in a non-African American world. And so it was just awesome. I loved it. And then let's fast forward to me working. For me, being in law school, getting out of law school and working. And at that time, and my classmates used to say, oh, Wrenna, you should be a judge. My brother was running for judge. My dad was a judge. Wrenna, you should be a judge. I said, I don't want to be a judge. I want to be a lawyer. I want to help people. In fact, in high school, because my dad talked about the law around the dinner table all the time, I knew a little bit about the law when I was a kid. And when I started seeing people get in trouble in high school, you know, I said, oh, I would step in, and I guess I was starting my representation then or something. I don't know. And because I could see that they did not know what their rights were, but I did a little bit. I'm not saying I was an attorney, but I knew a little bit more than everybody else. And that made me want to do, you know, to be in that role to help people. But that's what I wanted to be, a lawyer. I wanted to help people. And then my first job, well, of course, I was a law clerk, and then I went on to be assistant general counsel at the Housing Authority. And while I was there, they gave me the responsibility to sit as a judge and as a hearing officer for Section 8 hearings. And, you know, one of the neighborhood legal services attorneys called and said, hey, Wrenna Watson, she's the savior of the Housing Authority. And I was nobody's savior, I know that, but she, but the point is that I wasn't trying to throw people out of their housing. I was trying to find a way, let's find a way to solve this problem and remedy this and keep people in their housing. And so that for her was being a savior. I enjoyed that position. When I left the Housing Authority, I was offered another position, which I'm doing today. I told you I'm a 26-year mental health hearing officer. And a mental health hearing officer, we're doing the cases under the Mental Health Procedures Act. And that's when someone has been 302'd. And that means that they've done something dangerous to themselves or to someone else, and they have a severe mental illness. Somehow they get to the hospital. Either police take them, their family takes them, a neighbor takes them. They walk in there on their own, but they're having, you know, a mental health problem, and they get evaluated by a psychiatrist, and they can keep them for up to 5 days. And if they want to keep them beyond that 5 days because they need treatment, then they have a right to have a hearing. And that's what I did. And I go into each of the locked psychiatric units for every hospital all over Allegheny County and conduct those hearings. And that I've been doing for 26 years. So when I was doing that, it was like, oh, I like this. Not only do I like it, but, you know, I'm doing a pretty good job. After that, I liked it so much that I sought out to be a judge of the Pittsburgh Magistrates Court. An opening became available, and I actually, you know, went to work to try to get that position, and I did. And one day on a Friday afternoon, I was sitting, Phoenix. I was sitting, that's my little tiny attack dog. She's real little, but she runs everything. I was sitting on the bench, and it was Friday afternoon. We call that Friday afternoon zoo in city court, because there had to be, looked to me like 300 people sitting out there milling around, police officers, defense attorneys, assistant district attorneys, witnesses, defendants, victims, everybody's in there waiting for their hearing. And I looked out, and I knew, it was like, wow, this is going to be some kind of an afternoon. And I just felt this glow and this light, and I said, wow, I love my job and I'm good at it. That's the moment that I believe I was born to be a judge. I knew that I should be a judge, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's so awesome. The Zoom is going to cut off, so
Okay.
I don't want you to get cut off in mid-sentence. So
Yes.
I want to make sure that it downloads. So I want to say thank you, girls. You can say your thank you. I'm sorry.
Alanna.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Alanna.
That was actually our last question, so timing's perfect. So thank you for speaking to us tonight, and good luck.
Thank you so much, Alanna and Dailyn. That was wonderful, and Devonna, you all have been wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity. Are any of you 18?
I am.
You vote, you register? Of course you're registered.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I hope I can get your vote. I hope I can send you some information, and you can post me on your social media pages, and tell your friends to post, repost me, and share it. And you know, we can do this together. We need me on the bench. Our community needs me to be on that bench. But I thank you all, and I hope you all want to be lawyers, and that you'll come down, you know, and sit with me. You can come do internships.
Awesome.
Yes, that'll be awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And God bless you.